It is common in several industries that customers interact with a brand and its products through different channels, online or offline. Teradata offers the capabilities not only to manage the scale of the data regarding these touch points, but also the tools to allow you making sense of all of this data, discovering the customer journeys or discovering how to invest in your marketing channels more efficiently. In this demo, we are going to review how these tools work in a specific financial industry example. My name is Daniel Herrera. I'm a developer advocate for Teradata. Follow me through this demo. To follow on this walkthrough, you have to start by opening an account in ClearScape Analytics Experience, totally free of cost. Fill up this form, which is quite easy and convenient. Then you are going to be able to sign in. In this page, you are going to be taken to the main dashboard. In the main dashboard, if you don't have an environment, you need to create one. Take note of the password that you assign to your environment. It is the password of your database. Now you can run demos using Jupyter. You will get to the Jupyter Lab environment that has a lot of demos for different industries and different use cases. In this case, we're going to explore the financial customer journey, which is in the demos. You go to the use cases and then you go to financial customer journey. Here we are going to start by importing all the relevant libraries that we're going to be using. This is basically the Teradata machine learning library and certain libraries for plotting and graphics. Also, we need to log in into our database. For that, we will need our password. So we type our password here. We are in, the engine was properly created. If you are kind enough to run this code, this is totally optional, but this will allow us to serve you better. We have some metrics here regarding our demo notebook. Now we need to load the data. For this, we need to create a database. Here is already created, so I don't need to create it again. And you can run some reports here, which I will not do. This data is related to the different touch points that the user of the bank might have to the different products and offerings of the bank across different marketing channels, marketing campaigns, and placement of these marketing campaigns in different locations. Of course, the customer interacting with these touch points might arrive to an event that is valuable for the bank, that will be opening an account of different types. And the main point that we wanted to track here is what are the most effective channels for the customer to convert to the most valuable events from the perspective of the bank. Here we already have the curated data set, and we're going to use their data on match data analysis characteristics to analyze the data. The first step is that we want to estimate which of these channels and campaigns have been the most effective in driving certain activities that are valuable for the bank. And for this, we're going to use Teradata's attribution function, which allow us to assign a certain weight to every touch point in the customer journey towards the final attributable event, the conversion. And this, if you do it in plain SQL, might be time consuming, might be a little bit tricky to implement, but in Teradata is a breeze. I will start by showing you what are the inputs in the actual execution and then how we curate our data set to have clean data to fit to this function. It's very simple. So we have the data that contains all our touch points. We're going to send that. Then we're going to identify what is the key on which we are going to perform aggregations. So that will be our customer identifier. We need to define certain order column to define which events happen before the others. And that's going to be our interaction timestamp column. And the event column is the one that contains the events. So the type of touch point that the user had. Then we are going to define also the conversion model that has to be defined in a specific table or a specific view. Then you need what is the timestamp column, and that is going to be as well our interaction timestamp. And then the window size, that's what we are defining here as 10 rows. 10 records before the conversion happened. Those are the ones that we're going to define as relevant. Then also we are going to define what type of attribution we are going to be executing. There are different types of attributions that we can assign. For example, we can have something very simple that's uniform attribution, where each of the events that happen before the conversion are going to be assigned the same weight to drive that specific conversion. We can have other models of attribution where the ones that are closer to the conversion have a larger weight. We can assign all the attribution to the latest event just before the conversion happens, or we can do the opposite, assign all the weight to the first event that happened in that chain that led to the conversion, of course, inside this window of event size. In this case, we're going to do uniform. So that's all that we're going to do. And for that, let's start for producing the inputs that this attribution function needs. So we are going to create a table for the conversion events. And our conversion event, in this case, regarding to the opening of a credit card, is going to be the account was booked online or was booked offline. And we are going to insert those values in the table that we just created. And that's what we need for populating that table. We also need another table, which is the attribution model, which I mentioned before. And we're going to create a table here, and we are going to work with a simple attribution in a uniform fashion. That means each row that happens in that window of 10 records before the conversion event is going to be assigned the same weight. Now we are going to convert these tables that we've just created into a data frames for their processing. And the last step is a little bit of a transformation that we are going to perform in our original raw data in order the types match so we can perform the attribution analysis. The ones that are bar charts, we are making sure that they are in the Latin character set. And that's basically the transformation that we're performing here. The other housekeeping transformation that we're going to perform before running the attribution analysis is to filter what are the events that we care about. So we're going to, of course, include the events that our account was booked offline or online, which are our conversions. And we also want to have the ones that are click or referrals. That's basically for the offline activity and browse. Then we are going to have the product category be greater than -1. That means that there's actually a product category that was involved in that interaction. And that's it. We are going to perform that transformation. And then we're going to ingest all of this into the database again. And that's what we are going to do in the next step. In order, then we ingest that and perform the attribution analysis with just this simple function that we have here below. That's done. We ingest our data back, and then we're going to perform the analysis. What is going to happen, I will show you later on, is that we are going to have in each of the rows of our data, right now, we're going to have two columns that are relevant to the analysis that we're performing. One is going to be an attribution value in case the row is inside the window and before an attribution event. And the other one would be the time before the conversion happened that specific action took place. And since we are taking the time of the conversion as the baseline, and we are subtracting the time in which that specific event happened in the chain of attribution, that time is going to be negative. Now, to see a little bit how this attribution data looks, we're going to filter everything for this customer identifier, and we are going to see that this customer has certain conversion that happened related to him, which we are seeing here in these two activities. And we want to see a little bit more about his journey. So what were the touch points that he had and how this attribution analysis kind of like measures up for him. This specific cell is not in the source data for this exercise in the demo, but it's a very simple operation that you can have. I just added it for analysis purposes. So as you can see here, we have that for this specific customer identifier, there are 4 events that he interacted with. And we can see that 3 of them are relevant to the attribution. This one, the 4th one, is actually the conversion event. And there are other 3 events that are related to it. All of them are assigned an equal weight in influencing the customer to have that conversion event. This is the time that they happen before the conversion event. Now, let's say that we wanted to have a little bit more of a global view. We don't want to go by customer, of course. As you notice, each of the rows has been assigned this. So we can assign by each of the dimensions that we have in the columns here, what was the weight that they have in driving attributions. And that's the meat, that's the interesting point. So we want to go analyzing the marketing descriptions, and we want to see both the mean, that means the average amount that they actually influence conversions, and the total amount that they influence conversions in our customers. We also want to check the mean time to conversion of each of these marketing descriptions, which is basically promotions in our bank. We are going to perform the analysis right now. And after we perform this aggregation, we are going to export that aggregated data to a pandas data frame. And then we can proceed to perform certain analysis and plotting the data around. I will show by illustration a couple of them. So let's do it right now. We're going to analyze the mean attribution by the marketing description. We see that this promotion have a very high mean attribution values. We can also check the totals. We can also check the mean time to conversion data. And we can see that the gold card promotion converts very fast. Like that's less than an hour that they go to that one to convert to acquire the credit card. So that one is quite effective in time dimensions, but we might also want to analyze our marketing channels. We have that in the terms of marketing category and marketing placement. And we're going to perform the same sort of aggregations. And after that's done, we are going to also go back and do some analysis in graphs regarding the marketing categories and placements, in this case, with the sum of attribution. It is done, and we can see that the largest attribution is on on-site display advertising, and the homepage banner has a lot of attributions. We can say that a lot of customers that actually converted visited this banner and click on it. Now that we have everything there, we can do some analysis in our pandas data frame. And we can see here the graphs, and we can perform other types of plots. I will leave this for you to do at home. The path to adoption. In this case, wealth management accounts are very profitable for the bank, and the bank wants to understand how these customers that acquire this product arrive to that conversion. So we're going to perform also the conversion of our data here for another type of analysis. Remember that converting everything to char set Latin is quite important. We want all that is related to the wealth management account. Everything that is not related to that, we don't really need it. So we're going to filter that. We're going to drop it into the database, and then we are going to perform the in-database analytics function to do the analysis for us. This path analysis would be a crazy amount of Windows functions if you try to do it manually in pure SQL, but with Teradata npath, you can perform this analysis in a breeze. Now, what we're doing here is the npath function takes your data, you identify what is the partition column. In this case, it's going to be the customer identifier. The order column, again, our interaction timestamp. The mode is non-overlapping because we want the entire path. And the symbols is that we are going to have as events everything that is not booking the account, because that's the specific conversion. And actually the adoption is basically booking the account. So those are the two symbols. And the pattern that we are going to be finding is the events that happen before the conversion happen. And we're going to build a path of those events. We are going to accumulate them, and we are going to count how many of those events are happening. We are going to get the customer identifier and also the product category here. So right now we're going to perform the npath analysis. After the npath analysis is concluded, we are going to extract everything to a graph and show their results. And we got our results here. We have our customer identifier, how many of these interaction types happen, and the product category, everything is wealth management. This is the lineage of all the events that were executed before the customer actually acquired the account. Now we're going to start with our graphics. The way that I like to analyze this type of graph is that I go to the last step, actually what I care about, which is the account of wealth management booked. What I want to analyze in my own preference most of the time is what is the biggest previous step. And here we have that the biggest previous step represented by this bar is the compare wealth management. So this is actually a widget that the bank has in their website where the customer is able to compare the wealth management products of this bank, our bank, in this case, we are the analyst for this bank, with the offerings of other financial institutions. And the customers, as we can see here, take that step very often before actually acquiring the wealth management account. We can also perform some filtering regarding what are the main paths that customers are actually converting, because the path of each customer might be very different between each other. So we might want to perform some aggregation and then analyze just the most common ones and see if the insights that we gather kind of like make sense in that context. I'm going to leave that to you at home. And also, when you finish everything, it's a good practice to clean everything up. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember that for your organization, all of the results of their data in database analytics functions can become the basis for AI or machine learning models that can be used for driving more value for your organization and your customers. Having said that, we are going to finish this demo. Thank you very much.